The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame, with exciting Vol sports prints now available.
Happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together shout it now. There's no one who can doubt it now.
This is the Sports Source, presented by Bill Hotz and Associates, and by Renewal by Anderson, with your host, John Pennington.
We have covered exactly 2 championships in football and men's basketball since we launched our show 15 years ago. So you better believe we're going to enjoy this today, getting to cover a successful season, and we're going to let you have a celebration. Hope you enjoyed our silly little Happy Days are here again. We bring that out on rare occasions. I guess rarely does it seem like Happy Days have been here the last few years, but Tennessee with the championship, they've split it with Auburn. We'll discuss that at length today along with football, some Holly Warlick. It's going to be a really interesting show for you, I think. The Sports Source brought to you by Bill Hotz and Associates. And let me tell you about Bill Hotz and Associates. When you've been injured in a car accident and it's the fault of a careless driver, you shouldn't be the one who's having to pay medical bills out of your pocket. You shouldn't be having to do the car repairs. You shouldn't be losing wages while off from work. Always call Bill Hotz and Associates because they've got your back. Bill Hotz and Associates, if you've been injured in an accident, that's the group to make the first phone call to. Bill Hotz and Associates, we appreciate them bringing you today's championship celebration here on the Sports Source. And let me welcome in the first wave of panelists. We got a couple guys waiting in the wings. Mark Pancratz, always back as our basketball analyst. Thanks for being here. Jimmy Himes, Josh Ward, Mike Strange, and Josh, welcome back. Now a new father. You hadn't been here in a week or two because you have a little boy. And I must say, we have Owen James Ward.
Yep.
And he actually has a look like Josh. He started to, there's a strong resemblance there.
I was worried the beard wasn't coming in quite as quickly as I hoped, but all of a sudden.
All right, so just so I don't have your wife mad at me, let's go to the real picture. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. He's already on television, so there you go. Hopefully.
Also lucky to have my wife's good looks.
It doesn't have the beard and looks more like her than you.
Yeah,
right.
He is a lucky little boy.
Good deal. All right, let's go to the next full screen here and let's get this thing started. Folks, this is rare. As you know, Tennessee has only won 10 SEC championships, 10 SEC basketball regular season championships, 36, 41, 43. I mean, look at that. 3 of the 10 were pre-1950. Then you get 67, 72. I mean, only 3 since the 2000s. This is the first one in 10 years since Mark Pancratz was over there on the staff working for Bruce Pearl. Mark, the Dogs made the Vols fight for it yesterday. You pointed out before Tennessee played Georgia all year, you said, well, you got to be wary, look at the schedule. You said, well, you always got to be wary of Georgia because they have Tennessee's number. They did all year. They did again yesterday. They're dropping in threes like they haven't hit all season long. Some of them contested. It's not like they were wide open. But when push came to shove and a championship on the line, Tennessee comes out. They hold Georgia to 19 points in the second half. Defense won that championship.
Defense turned it around. Their ball pressure, their tenacity on the ball was the difference. The first half, yes, Georgia made some shots that they hadn't been making all year. One of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. But what we did is we started having ball pressure that stopped their ability to keep moving the ball side to side. And all of a sudden, their offense was generating shots further off the block, further outside the three-point line. It was the difference. That defensive side of the ball, which Barnes has hung his hat on since he's got here, ended up winning that championship game yesterday.
Tennessee now 18-1 on the year when they hold the opponent to 67 points or fewer. The only game they lost all year like that was Missouri, which was that low-scoring slug it out with Conzo Martin's team over in Columbia. Jimmy, Josh, and Mike. He talked defense. Somebody else came through big yesterday. Now, Grant Williams, Tennessee always relies on him. But one of the hallmarks of this team is when he doesn't play well, they've usually had someone who could step up and be there for him. The last couple of weeks, the step-up guy has been Admiral Schofield, who did a tremendous job. Talk to me about Admiral Schofield.
John, he's been an elite scorer over the last few games, and I mean elite. And this guy, he's scoring with three-pointers, with driving to the basket. He's making free throws when he needs to. if you picked an all-SEC team based on the last 2 weeks, he'd be first team. I just think he has played extremely well, and the pressure has not been a negative to him. As he said, he was raised right. His dad told him that's a challenge, and don't feel the pressure. I've been very impressed with what Schofield's done.
And very impressive also, on a side note, his interview with Dane Bradshaw. Used to be on the Sports Source, used to be on Sports Talk, does such a great job. But Schofield was one of those guys, we knew Dane, and he had that mantle of, boy, is he not everything you'd want in a representative of your college basketball team? And I thought Schofield showed that again in yet another interview yesterday after the game. Your thoughts on yesterday's victory, guys?
You said it, they had to earn it. At halftime, Georgia had 42 points, and I'm thinking of that number, 67. Yeah. Tennessee's got to, hold them to sit. I thought there's no way that's already gone, but I think Admiral Schofield is really good because Grant Williams, they're about the same size, same height, and Grant Williams, he's matched up with taller guys sometimes that can really bother him lengthwise. But Admiral, at the position he plays, I think that's less of an issue. I think he's going to have more freedom to do what he needs to do what he's capable of doing, and he's just playing lights out. And before I pass the mic here to Josh, a plug for Lamonte Turner that's just hit big shot after big shot all year.
Yeah, and I think that represents the growth of really the program. Is Admiral has gone from a guy that, remember, he got in trouble at the start of his sophomore year to now such an important leader for Tennessee's basketball team, grown as an outside shooter. With that, he had to grow defensively, defending on the perimeter, defending around the post. Grant Williams goes out late in the game. Admiral still steps up. You have Lamonte Turner that has stepped up all season long, hitting those big shots. And I think everywhere within the program, Kyle Alexander and then bench guys like Derek Walker, Yves Pons in the last couple of weeks has stepped up off the bench. It's growth of the program, and that's why Tennessee is celebrating a championship.
And I want to underscore one other thing on defense. Mississippi State, Florida, and now Georgia. 3 of the last 4 games, Tennessee has held an opponent to 20 or fewer points and a half. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
And 3 of the last 4 games they've done it.
With a shot clock in this day and age, you don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
Rick Barnes, you and I are going to talk about him a little later, so let me throw this to you guys. The first couple of years, I think people expected a quicker turnaround. And we go into this year, it's like, I hope you see it this year because people are going to start grumbling a little louder. I don't think any of us expected when he signed on that, yeah, you'll have your 10th SEC regular season title within 3 years. I just didn't see that coming. Your thoughts on the job Rick Barnes did? Any of you take it?
Yeah, I never would have seen the title this quickly, especially if you had told me before the year that the SEC would be as deep and as competitive as it has been. For the league to grow the way that it has and Tennessee to actually emerge among all of those teams, that makes it even more impressive.
Well, the other challenge, too, this team started out 0-2 in the SEC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so and I was talking to Rob Lanier, they're confident. So they went in really confident when the SEC started, and then they lose to Arkansas and they lose to Auburn. He said that we had to fight through that.
It's another reason you never freak out over one basketball game.
Or 2.
Don't ride the roller coaster. That's why we did the big board this year. And when you start 0-2 and you come back and you finish 13-3, it doesn't matter anymore.
And here's why you get butterflies and you almost start tearing up about when you win a championship, because you go right back to all those struggles. Like, these guys don't think about the good practices and the good games. They think about those 5 a.m. runs that they're over spring break. They think about starting 0-2 when they're probably wanting to punch each other in the locker room, like, what's going on? That's what makes this stuff so special, is because of all the stuff that these players, these coaches, Rick Barnes getting fired from Texas after all that he's achieved, and that's what makes that so incredibly special.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said, too. I mean, it's fun to win it when you're expected to win it. It's fun for fans when you're the underdog and you come out of nowhere and do it like this team did. When we come back, we're going to talk about how they did it, how they won the championship this year, and what it means for the program. Lots more to come, football, a little Hollywood, like tons on the Sports Source. Come on back, maybe even a little champagne.